So, welcome back to Blind in the Past. Last time we talked about how um, I had mentioned to you that in regard to being banished from Eden, one of my favorite frescoes, I think in English we say frescoes, is here in Florence in what's called the Chapel Brancacci, La Cappella Brancacci. And it's by a painter named Masaccio. This is the Renaissance period. And it depicts Adam and Eve naked, being cast out of Eden, and you can feel the heaviness of God's condemnation on them, and that's he portrays Masaccio did a good job in portraying how um, the the disappointment would be an understatement of being banished from the presence of God. So we're still talking about the fall, and the fall being under God's condemnation because we decided not to trust Him and to disobey Him. Talked about this in previous episodes. Means we're capable of much evil, also much good, but much evil. I was just recently at Auschwitz, and you really don't need to tell people. You would hope we all know the terrible, terrible things that happened there under Hitler, and we are capable of much evil, but we are also capable of much good, um, because we're created in God's image. And I mean, even think about this Renaissance, the flowering of Renaissance art, and all the noble and good things that people are capable of. Why? Because we carry God's image, right? Remember, we talked about the image of God in human beings, only in human beings. So we have this dual thing in us. Um, these two things where because of the fall, we're capable of much evil, very much evil, but we still bear God's image. So, you know, that's who we are. Um, I also, this is more or less the 1 year anniversary of when I started this podcast. One of the reasons I started it was because I mentioned this in the intro, but I don't say it explicitly. My wife got what's called in the testimony that you'll see in the description a nasty diagnosis, and that was one of the things that pushed me uh, to to start this podcast, because sickness and illness is also a consequence um, of the fall. So um, we're going to next time talking about how um, what God does in response to you know who we have become because of the fall. But I want to read you a sort of nasty description of how um, the Bible portrays us. This is in the letter of Paul to the Romans, chapter 3. And let me get it here in English, because I just did this in Italian. Um, and this is what he says about you and me. This is about you. This is about me, friend. So here we are. Um, the Apostle Paul writes, there is none is righteous. No, not one. So it's talking about all of us. No one understands. No one seeks for God. All have turned aside. Together they have become worthless. No one does good, not even one. Their throat is an open grave. They use their tongues to deceive. The venom of asps is under their lips. Their mouth is full of curses and bitterness. Their feet are swift to shed blood, and their paths are ruin and misery. In the way of peace they have not known. There is no fear of God before their eyes. All right, so this is Romans 3:10 through 18. And someone says, wait a second, I'm not that bad. This is a collective description of how we are as human beings because of the fall. Now, it doesn't mean that every one of us is like that in every way, but it's saying that, we don't seek God. We're not righteous. We're not the way we're not the way we're supposed to be. And we'll see in the following episodes of this podcast what God does. Um, what God does. Let me just glance at my very brief notes to make sure that I went through, yes, everything we wanted to do in this episode, and we'll see you next time. Because remember, talked about four pillars: creation. Talked about that. Fall. This is probably the last specific, if not the last, almost the last specific episode we'll do in the fall. Then we want to pass to talk about redemption and then recreation or restoration. Okay, so till next time, God bless you.